Hello again, and welcome to the Ninja Chickens channel. I'm your host, Maria, and I'll be with you for the next little bit talking about fibery related things, knitting, natural dyeing, and a little bit of homesteading and homeschooling. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. It's nice to have you here again. This is episode number 6. Yeah, we've had some kind of crazy weather over the past week. It was a week ago Thursday, about 70 degrees and sunny and t-shirt and shorts weather. And within 2 days, the temperature plummeted and we got about 5 inches of snow, and it got down to about 2 degrees with the wind chill. It was kind of crazy. So everything, it had been really warm, much more warm than it usually is this time of year. And so a lot of our fruit trees were blooming, our apricots, plums, nectarines, peaches, a lot of our bush cherries, everything was already in full bloom. So they've been hit hard, and I don't know that we'll get any fruit from those this year. We'll see. But on a good note, it's sweater weather again. So I'm excited. I got to wear this. I tucked it away already in my cedar chest and forgotten I had it, and then it was really, really cold for a few days, so I pulled out these cozy knits, and I'm glad that we get to wear them again. But I think I'm about ready for spring now. I'm about ready to have the frogs croaking and the butterflies flying around and being able to get outside and hang out with the kids while we do school and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys aren't getting hit too hard by this weather. But today is St. Patrick's Day. We don't really celebrate St. Patrick's Day, but it's here, so I have some yarn to match, and I'll show you in a little bit. Let's see. So I'm coming to you from just outside of Asheville in the mountains of North Carolina, where I live with my husband and my 2 kids and my 4 cats and my 16 chickens and 6 beehives. I hope there's still 6 beehives. Usually there's a couple that die over the winter. It just kind of happens that way. The weaker ones are the ones that don't have enough honey to last them through the winter, and so sometime in the spring we'll check them out and make sure that everybody's doing well. But I've not seen actually a whole lot of activity. Well, not lately because it's cold, but previous to that, when it was really warm, things seemed to be kind of quiet. So hopefully they will still be doing okay. We actually have a friend that's raising them on our land who is attempting to help build a stronger honeybee, because most of you probably know that the honeybee population has been in decline, and they are desperately needed for a lot of our food our food production. So if there's less honeybees, there's less food production. And with all kinds of things, colony collapse disorder is one that has been causing problems, where the whole thing just kind of dies and nobody knows why. There have been different kinds of the varroa mite and other different things that have been taking down the honeybees big time. So this friend of ours has his hives out on our property because he's trying to spread out where his hives are in a large area so he can raise more beehives. And he does very little hands-on with them. He might go into the hives 2 or 3 times a year, and that's it. He tries to encourage the strongest hives to thrive so that they produce stronger hives as they get big and swarm or break off. They make bigger, stronger hives. And those bees that survive the harsh winters, that survive the colony collapse, that survive the varroa mite and all of those things will be just, genetically a stronger bee. So we occasionally get honey, not very much. We don't like to pull a whole lot off of them because we're trying, again, it's not so much for the honey as for the bee production. But that means that we have hives on our property that do lots of pollination of our flowers and our foods. And it's really nice. Sometimes when it's a really warm day and there's lots of flowers out, the land just hums. You step outside and you just hear this all around you because there are bees everywhere. And it's really, really cool. It feels, I don't know, it feels kind of magical when you step out there and you're standing around the goldenrod flowers and there's just bees everywhere. And, it feels good because I know that at least in this little patch of woods, there are some bees that are thriving. So anyway, on to the fibery stuff. I'm putting the homesteading stuff in the beginning this time, I guess. Yes, so I have a couple of finished objects for you. You'll see what I mean. One of them was finished last time, but I got to add the buttons. So let me show you my Haust cardigan. I had finished it last time, but I did not have buttons on yet. So now I have buttons, and they're super cute. They're little dandelions. And I'll show you closer. I got them from Whimsy of Willows on Etsy. The buttons are made out of lilac wood that she sands down. She cuts into little slices, she sands it down, and then she burns the dandelion picture into it, all hand done. I think I'd ordered 4, and she sent me 5 and some extra. So there's the lilac wood, and that's what that looks like. Let's see if I can get that in focus. No, my hands are a little too wobbly. But then she sent a little, and this packaging is so flippin' cute. She sent these little, a little baggie of 4 purple cedar buttons. These things smell so good. Let's see. There we go. Isn't that cute? All hand done. And I love them. They're so sweet. So I was really excited to put those on. And I've been wearing the cardigan almost every single day. I need to knit myself another cardigan so I can change it out. It's the only cardigan I have. No, I have one other, but it's a lot longer and it has a big hood. So I need a lightweight cardigan, another one. Anyway, so that is a finished object, and that's the Haust cardigan. So a few of you actually asked me about steeking and how it's done. This was my first time ever steeking anything, so I'm by no means an expert. But I thought I'd just kind of walk you through it a little bit. There's lots of video tutorials out there, but what I actually did with this is knit it completely in the round. So this was not open. And when it came time to steek it, I ran this, well, actually, let me show you the inside. It looked like this. So it was attached in this section right here. I ran that through my sewing machine, all the way up one side, all the way down the other, just in that one little spot. And then I cut in between that spot where I ran it through the sewing machine. Let me see if I can find a spot where it's easy to see the stitches. It's not really. Let me see. See if this will work. No, basically right here, there's a stitch sewn on this in the sewing machine. And then I cut right there in between the two. So that, trying to see if you can see my head. I'm sitting up closer to the camera. It was held firm because of the stitching, and then I was able to open it up. So you can see the inside is not, you know, I could trim it up a little bit, I could make it look better, but you never see that from the outside. So then what I did was, just on the other side of the stitching from the sewing machine, I picked up stitches for crocheting. And again, this was my first time doing any major crochet, so I just followed some tutorials, and I took this is my faux crochet needle right now because I don't have it with me. But basically, what I did was I went into the stitch like this, right? So I went underneath both legs. Let's see if I can get this any better. Where I was, right next to where the stitching was, I went underneath both legs. And that's where I picked up my stitches all the way along for the crochet. I think it wasn't picking up one stitch for every stitch on here. I think there was a little less, so I might have done 2 and skipped 1, then done 2 and skipped 1, or something like that. But I mean, it says so in the pattern. But basically, I picked up the 2 legs, and that's where I started crocheting all the way along. And then you've got your crochet stitch to mark what your next stitch will be. That might be completely confusing, and I hope it's not, but there are, like I said, there's a lot of tutorials out there. And I found it fairly easy. I didn't think it was too hard. It ended up working out well. And the final result looks very finished. You can't really tell where it was. So, yeah. I think it came out well. Really lovely pattern. Actually, the picture that I put on my Ravelry page made it to the front of Ravelry, which I thought was really cute. They were doing a little post on cats and knitting, and I have a picture of cookie dough. My big fluffy white cat. I was trying to take a picture. No one was around, so I thought, oh, I'll learn how to use this timer thing on my camera. So I set it down on a rock and set the timer, and cookie dough would come out there with me. He likes to hang out with me when I'm outside. So I set the timer and I ran to the spot where I thought it would look good, and there comes cookie dough, and snap, it gets a big picture of his backside. So I ran back over and he followed me, and I set the camera again and I ran back over to my spot and click, another picture of his tail. It was like 20 tries trying to get the right shot, and usually he was in there running, and if not, I was making a stupid face. So finally I set it. He comes running over, and I just called him. And I was like, come here, cookie dough. You know, I thought, well, maybe I can get him over here fast enough. And it shot a picture of me bending down, like putting my hand out to scratch his chin. And it was perfect. It was the sweetest little picture. So if I just listened to him in the first place and bent down and give him some love instead of him having to chase me and beg me. But so that picture made it on the front of Ravelry, which was really cute. Yes. So my second finished object, I hadn't even started 2 weeks ago, but I kind of got obsessed with it. It is the Velour sweater by Veris Jonsdottir. And this is the one that Leif asked me to make into a Minecraft sweater because he wanted to have a nice colorwork sweater with Minecraft swords on it. So here it is. Ta-da! Isn't that amazing? I love it. I love how it turned out. He picked all the colors. So he wanted gold, which that's what the swords are. He wanted blue diamonds, green emeralds, and red rubies. And it actually looks like little blue flowers, doesn't it, the way it came out? I think the only change I made to this pattern, oh, okay. So he's 8. He's a small 8, but I thought I'm going to knit it for a size 10 because I wanted it to fit him for a few years. And I knit the arms first. I thought, why not? We'll get those out of the way. Then by the time I get up to the yoke, yay, it's almost ready to go. So I knit the arms in a size 10, and then I cast on for a size 10 on the pattern. And when I got to the yoke, things weren't, I was like 8 stitches off, and I thought, I cannot have dropped or knit 2 together 8 stitches. Where did those stitches go? So I kept looking back over the pattern, trying to figure it out. Finally, I realized there's 4 sizes. There's an 8, 10, 12, and a 14. For the cast on of the body, there were 5 cast on numbers. And I cast on the second number because that was going to be the 10, right? 8, 10, 12, and 14 sizes. I was going to cast on the second number over because that was supposed to be the 10. Well, actually, there was an error in the number. I think maybe at some point she wanted to do a size 6. I don't know, but I should have cast on the third number. So I was 8 stitches too small. So what I ended up doing was just going ahead and splitting the front and the back in half when I was knitting in the round and adding on the sleeves. I didn't rip it out. I was not about to rip it out. 8 would be fine. He's a skinny little guy. It wasn't going to be a big deal. And then I just kind of winged it from there to try and make sure I had the right numbers. The pattern that I made for this, the sword, is a 10 stitch repeat. So I just made sure I had a multiple of 10. I think it was 210 stitches when I cast it on, or when I got to the sword part. And then when I was done the sword, this is where the pattern, the original pattern begins, right here above the swords. So that's an 8 stitch repeat. So I ended up decreasing by 2 stitches because that was a multiple of 8. I was lucky with that. So I did put all the information on my Ravelry page. and the pattern, the chart for this if you wanted to repeat it. And I haven't mentioned that, have I? You can find me on Ravelry as Ninja Chickens. You can find me on Instagram as ninja.chickens. And there's a Ninja Chickens Ravelry group, which has great information about, well, it has all the show notes in it and all kinds of neat people talking about what they're knitting and things they've been doing and what kind of crazy people they are. So you can come over there and say hi. I also have my show notes on my blog in case you don't get on Ravelry, and that is ninjachickens.org. There, we got that done. So this is his sweater. He has already worn it a bunch. In fact, the first time he took it out, I said, let's go for a walk. So we put on his sweater, and he loves it. He's so sweet. He's so good. You know, I surprised him with this, and he goes, oh, is it done? He was so excited. It's like exactly the response that you want as a knitter who's put time into making something for someone. So anyway, I said, let's go for a walk. He threw the sweater on. He grabbed his kitty mittens and his wooden sword, and we went outside. And the first thing he does is wants to go start playing in the ice that's on the pond. And I'm like, don't get too close. You're going to get muddy. Don't get too close. You're going to get wet. And he's like, I won't. So he sits down on the bank and starts sliding towards the water so he doesn't get himself over the water. And he just slides into a big old puddle of mud. So somewhere on the back of this is a nice big mud stain. And I'll wash it and block it again. But, yeah, and then he went on the tree swing that we've got. And he's like, I won't get wet on the tree swing, Mom. So he gets on this tree swing. The first thing he does is, you know, try to step off. But he doesn't make it and falls into some mud. He's a boy. What am I going to do? He's a kid. But yeah, it's sturdy wool, so I'm not so worried. So those are my two finished objects, and I love them. I'm very excited about them. It's funny how it puts me in a good mood anyway when I've finished something and I know and I feel good about the work. I feel like I'm on a high for the next couple of days, you know, like I've just gone skydiving or something. I don't know if you guys feel that too, but when you've created it and you look at it and it's done and it's appreciated, it's like, oh, yay, and it makes you feel happy. Anyway, let's see. Oh, I did both of those sweaters out of Let Lopi, East Tex Let Lopi yarn, and I'm doing one of my next one out of those. Let's see, my whips. I have two. The first one you saw that I started last week, and that is the Ridari sweater by, again, Veris Jonsdotter. And I'm doing this one for my husband, also out of Let Lopi, and I did the same thing with his. I knit the sleeves. Here they are. There we go. Two sleeves. He wanted all gray, so we're going to go with that. I like it. It's not that, it's funny, some of you are like, the grays are really pretty. It's not that I don't like gray. I like gray a lot, but I knit my daughter a really big gray bulky sweater, and then I knit myself a big gray dress, and so I was excited about having some other colors when Leaf asked me for a Minecraft sweater. That's why I ended up doing his first. So here we go. This is one of the sleeves. It's a really sweet cuff, or cuff design. And then I've gotten about this far on the body. So a few inches in. And you just knit like this all the way up till you join the arms and the body, and then start on the yoke, which is going to be really nice. Again, like 4 shades of gray, dark gray, almost black. And let's see, I'll show you the picture. So that's the picture. Yeah, you can see how I take my notes all over the place. I like having the pattern in hand. I don't like looking at it on the computer. And I like being able to mark down all the repeats and increases and all that stuff. And this is in one of my bags by the Naughty Mommy. She goes by, oh, I know it's in here. Yes, That Crafty Little Fox on Etsy. And she has the cutest bags. This one's all llama. And she has another one coming out this weekend, I think, that I might have to snag, that's unicorns. You know, not like I have too many bags. I can never have too many. There's always something to carry, especially when you have kids. So yes, that was my Radari in Let Lopi. I just want to make sure I've got everything for you. My other whip that I wasn't planning on casting anything else on, but I kind of felt like I needed something small. I carry those around. I know a lot of people like small things when they go out. I just throw everything in my bag. I'm like a bag lady with tons of stuff. My basket, my purse, my big old knitting bag, sometimes 2 knitting bags. But I don't know, if I feel like working on it, I want to have it with me when I go out. Actually, last night I took my knitting. I'm taking a photography course at the local college. It's just 6 weeks, you know, get to know your digital camera. I've had one since this past July, and I feel like I've gotten to figure it out pretty well, but I thought, why not take a course and make sure I'm using it to its fullest? And so I bring my knitting whenever I go, and usually it's too dark because it's in the evening, but with the time change, it was lighter, so I sat there and knit for 2 hours while I was listening to the class, which was easy because it's just knitting in the round with big yarn, so it wasn't a problem at all. But yes, so I did feel like I wanted something a little bit smaller to work on than the big sweaters I've been doing, so I ended up casting on the socks that Mina Philipp had just released from the pattern, the giveaway pattern that we had last week. Sorry, I want to open this, but I don't want to crinkle too much. It's her ebook group, her monthly subscription to sock patterns. There's 7 patterns that she's going to be releasing over 7 months. And this one is called the Grand Central Socks. And it's a really cute and simple design. I'm not much for lacy socks. I think they're beautiful, but I just don't wear them much. They're just not my style. I usually just wear plain socks. And honestly, if I don't have to wear socks, I don't. I usually wear my sandals, my chacos from the earliest warm weather through, you know, November or December if I can. But I wear socks a lot around the house. So so I thought these would be really nice. It's a simple pattern, but it's a nice texture. And so I am using, well, first I've got it in my Bags by Awesome Granny. I won this at SSK last year. And let's see, that one in the middle says, "I love those pills Dr. Denton prescribed. I feel so calm and relaxed, la la la." This is her dysfunctional family bag, and I just think it's hysterical. It's like this one. "Benji, don't pee in the pool." It just makes me laugh. So I've got these in here, and the yarn is Casual Fashion Queen. Well, it's not too easy to see that. It's her Gaia base, 75/25 merino nylon. And I love it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Let's see. Here's the yarn. It's getting there. Sorry, I keep moving. Well, one day I'll figure out the focus. Okay. I am going to figure it out to show you the texture because it's too cute. I wasn't sure how these would look. I was worried that it was going to pool, but the stripe of color is too short, and so it's actually turning out really beautifully. Let's see. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, camera. There we go. Isn't that sweet? It's just a sweet little, oh, and here's the back so you can see the color. It's a deeper, more jewel tone color when I'm not standing up so close to the camera, but I've just got the toes done. I almost always do them toe up 2 at a time. Then they're done at the same time, and I don't have second sock syndrome. And doing them toe up for me is nice because I can try them on as I go a little bit more easily, I think, than toe down or cuff down. And I can make the cuff as high as I want because I know I'm not going to run out of yarn by going the other way. So we'll see. I'm hopeful. These look like they're going to be a good size. I'm not much of a sock knitter. I've knit a few here and there for each person in the family, but I'm still trying to figure out the right size to get the right fit. I like them comfortably snug, and they always end up too big, especially around the ankle and heel. So after a little bit of wearing them, they just start sliding down into my shoes. So I went down to a size 56 or to a 56 cast on instead of 64. And I'm on a size 1 or 2.25 millimeter. And it seems like this is a really nice feel to it. It's not too loose, and the gauge is right. So hopefully that will work. We'll see. But anyway, this is just something nice to knit on when I don't feel like going in the round. Because, you know, for a men's sweater, it's going to be a lot more just plain old knitting for this Radari anyway. Yeah, and that's it. And that, again, is the Grand Central Socks by Mina Philipp. She's also the Knitting Expat and has the Knitting Expat podcast in the Casual Fashion Queen Gaia colorway. Yeah, I think that's it. So for natural dyeing, we've been doing a little bit of dyeing for Fern. We have our trunk show in a week tomorrow. So on the 25th, we're going to be at the local yarn shop. And that's the only place right now that we have our yarn, just because we have a very limited quantity. And we absolutely love it. The people there are just so sweet, always willing to help, always with a smile on their face, just kind and, what's the word? Real. You know, you don't feel like they're putting on airs or anything. They're just nice people. So we're always really excited to be there and do a show there. So we've been dyeing up a bunch. We actually just this past week got a big shipment of yarn back from the mill that we've been waiting for a while. We were worried it wasn't going to make it. Actually, half of it isn't going to make it. It'll be here mid next week, so it won't get dyed, but it's our darker colors. The white that we got back was some Montaldale fleece, which is a mix of, it's a sheep that was developed to be a dual breed sheep. So large enough to have good meat production, but also a nice fleece to use too. So it was a mix of, I believe, Columbia and Cheviot. If that's wrong, I'll correct it. And it created the Montaldale breed, which has a really thick, beautiful, crimpy fleece. So it's got lots of bounce to it, and a lot of lanolin. So it's really nice on the fingers if the mill can leave a little bit of that in, because it's super soft. So we got those fleece last year at a festival, and we had to send it to a mill. We usually try to use local mills, but this fleece was so fine that these mills weren't able to do it. They didn't have machinery that would actually make it into yarn without causing little neps and fluffs, but have a nice even yarn. So we sent it to a different mill, and she did a beautiful job. So I'm excited to see what the other fleeces look like, which is what's called Rommeldale, which is a different mix, and I'll tell you about that when we get those in. But this is the yarn undyed, and I have not washed this yet either, so it looks a little bit less fluffy than what you'll see that's been dyed. And then I took, so yeah, you can see the difference in the size of the skeins. I took all of it and put it in marigold that I had from last year. This is very blown out because it's so close to the camera. It's a much brighter yellow, and I'll actually put a picture in. It's a golden sunshine yellow, but so squishy. I mean, you can see how much I can squish it. Once I dyed all of it in marigold, I then took half of it and put it in what's called Saxon indigo, which is a liquid indigo extract, and that made that gorgeous green. So that's what I was talking about when I said I'm bringing you some St. Patrick's Day colors. They're beautiful. They're really nice, and really nice spring colors, I think. Sunshine and spring. So yeah, I'll put a picture in so I'll make sure you get to see what the true colors are. And that's some of the dyeing that we've been doing. Nikki has, that's fingering weight, and Nikki has some DK weight and some sport weight that she's putting some color on today and tomorrow. So I'm excited to see those and how they come out. Another thing with natural dyeing is that I am going to start, actually this weekend, the Wild Diaries, D-Y-E-R-Y, diary, dyeing course. She has a 3-part section of eco color, colors you can get from plants, eco printing, how to do printing with plants, like I've done in previous episodes on silk and stuff, and on my skirt. and then eco pattern, like shibori and other types of ways to get pattern out of natural color. And I saw it a few months back and I thought that looks like a lot of fun. And I know that I do this all the time, but I've never taken any official classes. I've been a part of dyeing groups and stuff like that, but I just thought this would be really neat. And, you know, why not expand my knowledge and see what else other people are doing? And I believe she's in England. So it's all going to be online, but it looks really amazing. I'll put all the information in because I imagine she's still accepting students. It's just getting started, but it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So you do the coursework at home. Obviously, you'll read up on it, follow the lessons online, and then you do your dyeing at home and get to show it off to everybody else that's taking the course too. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Okay, so now we are moving into more of the homesteading and homeschooling, or life around here and out of the fibery section. So let's see. We've had a busy couple of weeks. I took a handstand class a couple of weeks ago, which was a lot of fun. I was a gymnast as a kid and have done other gymnastic types of things in my life. I did aerials for probably 4 or 5 years and really enjoyed it, but I had a small injury, so I had to step back. I'm hoping to get back into it, but either way, I've always really liked doing handstands, and I don't do them enough to get really good at them, but I kind of want to make that commitment. So I'd heard that there was a handstand class going on in town, so I decided why not take it. So it was 3 hours of doing handstands, not the whole time. We discussed form, we discussed, you know, how to make them easier to get into, the different muscle cues and stuff like that. But let me tell you, I was sore afterwards. It was a lot of fun. So now each day I've been trying to set aside a little bit of time to do some handstands so I can get better at it. I can walk on my hands a little bit, but I have a hard time actually standing still. So I'm hoping to encourage the kids to do that with me, because it's just fun when you're upside down. We don't do that enough as adults. We stop playing on the jungle gyms and flipping around and doing somersaults. And that brings so much joy into kids' lives. I think we should do it too. So I'm making that commitment to try and be upside down a little bit more. Let's see, this past weekend we had a bunch of friends over, Kaya's friends. She has a group of girlfriends that does Pathfinder, or it's like D&D, a role-playing game with her, and my husband is the game master, and they, you know, have all their characters and go through adventures, and it's a lot of fun. And they really enjoy doing that, and they meet usually once a month. And then I run a once a month book club for the girls. So we try to combine those things on a Saturday and Sunday on the same weekend and just have them sleep over, and then they stay for the whole weekend. And that was this past weekend when we had all that snow. So they came over, brought their snow gear, did their game on Saturday. Oh, this is Maxine. She wants to get to her bed, but I've knocked her bed down so I could put up a curtain. So they did the Pathfinder on Saturday, and then we did the book club on Sunday. Sorry, she really wants to get to her bed. I'm worried she's going to try and jump in the window and just whack her head. Come on over here, sweetie. So anyway, I love having the girls over. They're super sweet, really good kids, and they were staying up pretty late, and I was about to go to bed, and so I was walking over to the door and to knock on the door and say goodnight. And as I was walking, I knew they were in there, you know, just watching TV on the computer. As I'm walking to the door, I hear this man's voice moan, and I was like, what are they watching? And why are they watching that? They should not be watching that. And I thought, okay. And I knocked real gently to say goodnight, and I opened the door, and there was no quick shuffling like they needed to be embarrassed. There was nothing. And it was just me, of course, going to the place I shouldn't have been to, because they were all laying there on sleeping bags and pillows in their pajamas watching the British Bake Off show. And one of the judges had just taken a bite of something yummy and gone, And I was thinking, you guys are such good kids. It was really funny. I didn't tell her about that, but I was just tickled, that I immediately thought they were watching something inappropriate, and they were watching a British Bake Off show and talking about, the one of the goofy contestants and how the judge judged that wrong and all that. It was neat. So anyway, the next day, sorry, excuse me. Come here, silly. There, you can use my lap as a bed. She's like, no, I don't think so. So the next day we had book club, and we were discussing The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Really good book. I've actually read it a couple times already, and I had suggested that we read it this last time, and they really liked it, which was nice. We needed a little break because we had read some more intense or harder to get into books before that. So that was really nice. But the next book that we're reading I'm kind of excited about, which is why I wanted to share it with you. It's called Secret by Lindsay Smith. And this had been recommended to me by our local bookstore owner. I was trying to find something that would be a good, engaging book that wasn't too much about romance, because they don't want really the romantic books. And she suggested this one. And if you haven't heard of it, it came out a couple years ago. But in the 1920s, supposedly, I researched this a little bit. It's a historical book. In the 1920s, Russia began a program of using psychics to try to gain better knowledge of their enemy or the things going on around them. So they were using them in the military to try and gather secrets. In the 1960s, supposedly during the Cold War, it became a much bigger thing. So much so that in the 70s, the United States began a program trying to use psychics in espionage and to gain information about other people. The U.S. program was, as far as I know, in 1995, I think it was, after about 25 years, they just were like, this is not working. We're going to take this program apart. But this book is about a girl named Yulia who can read people's minds. And she has to keep things a secret so she is not taken by the KGB, so her powers can be used to gain secrets. So, of course, it's a fake story, but it's based on a program that was actually being used by Russia in the 1960s. So it looks really interesting. I'm excited. So we're going to be getting started with this one and discuss this next month. So I just wanted to mention that because it sounded like a really good one. And it's young adult book, but appropriate for adults too. Last but not least is the tea recipe that I have for you today. This is one that I just really like, especially in the winter. It's really soothing and warming. It's called turmeric golden milk. And there's a lot of recipes for golden milk out there, and some of you may already make them, but this is my favorite little version of it. And it's really nice to smell. It's really nice going down. It's nice and creamy and smooth. It does not have dairy, so those of you who don't do dairy can have some. It is 1 can of full fat coconut milk, 1 cup of almond milk, unsweetened, 1½ teaspoons of turmeric root powder or 2 tablespoons of fresh turmeric root grated, 1/2 teaspoon ginger root powder or 1 teaspoon fresh ginger root grated, 1/4 teaspoon of licorice root powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon powder. You take everything, put it in a blender and blend it together, and then pour it in a pot and warm it up. You don't want to bring it to boiling, but you want it nice and warm. And you can keep it at that low temperature for 5 or 10 minutes just to really get all the good nutrients into your milk. You can also use an immersion blender if you want to just put it on the stove and do that. And then you don't strain it. You drink it like that. That'll make 3 or 4 servings. So some of the reasons why this is a really nice tea is turmeric is a very nice anti-inflammatory, so it helps bring down swelling, especially in the joints. It's used a lot by people who have arthritis or joint pain, injuries, stuff like that. And sometimes people just use turmeric in their turmeric milk. And a lot of people may put in a little bit of black pepper for digestion to help digest it and get it into your system. I'm not a pepper fan, so I use the ginger and the cinnamon because they're also good for digestion. Turmeric is useful in helping to control blood sugar. It's also really nice for the immune system. And that strong orange color is a nice antioxidant. So, oh, and the liver. It's a really good liver herb too. So in general, it's just a nice herb to have. I added ginger, licorice, and cinnamon because they are also nice digestives. They're also good for the immune system. They're also nice and warming in the winter time. Turmeric can be somewhat drying. So if you drink a lot of it, if you're a more moist or oily person, it might not be a big deal. I'm a fairly dry person. My skin is fairly dry. My hair is fairly dry. So if I drink a lot of turmeric, it dries me out a little too much. So one of the reasons why I add licorice is because licorice is moistening. So it helps to balance that a little bit. So yeah, it's a really nice tea. It's real gentle. It's also really nice to take before bed. It helps, it just helps calm you down. So this could be used for children and adults. So it's a nice, calming, relaxing, good for digestion. So if you drink it after dinner, it helps you digest, helps calm you down and get you to sleep, and hopefully sleep a little bit better if, the inflammation in your body has gone down, if you have any inflammation or pain. So that's your recipe for today. I will have all the recipe details. I will have all the pattern information and yarn information and all of that on my Ravelry group page under this episode thread and on my my website. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's everything. Have a fabulous next couple of weeks. What do I have planned? And Toby's going to be going away and Kai's going to be going away. So for a little bit of it's just going to be Leaf and I. So we may take a break from school stuff and do some field trips and play. Oh, and I'll have the trunk show to report on also. So I'll take some pictures of that for you. I hope you have an amazing couple of weeks. Thank you for hanging out with me. It's always nice to be here with you. And I will talk to you soon.